stationed in your rotation with real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
We're back to Salt of the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt of the Streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt of the Streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you're ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why Salt need to be stationed in your rotation with real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
We're back to Salt of the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt of the Streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt of the Streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you're ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why Salt need to be stationed in your rotation with real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
We're back to Salt of the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt of the Streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt of the Streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you're ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why Salt need to be stationed in your rotation with real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
We're back to Salt of the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt of the Streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt of the Streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you're ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why Salt need to be stationed in your rotation with real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
We're back to Salt of the Streets podcast.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready.
And we're back to Salt of the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt of the streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt of the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready.
And we're back to Salt of the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt of the streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt of the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready.
And we're back to Salt of the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt of the streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt of the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh.
Action.
Hey! Thank you for joining us. Salt of the Streets live stream pre-show episode. Was it 116?
116, baby.
Jesus Christ. We're going to be at 400, and then we're going to get famous. People are going to be like, they did 400 episodes? Like,
Dude, don't even say 400
where
right
are all
now.
these backlogged?
Exactly.
Anyway.
Going back in the vault from 400 is going to be an interesting dive.
Yes. This is just notes from, I think the first one's in here, from March. So this is just March to now. This one box is not
damn.
quite full yet of all just beautiful index cards. Any of these could be yours if you order a t-shirt. Some of these will be stuffed in there for you. It's a
That's
beautiful
right.
time.
Get them random show notes, baby.
That's right. Salt of the Streets pre-show. My name is Donovan.
I'm calling.
We are happy to have you guys.
Where's
Thank
my
you.
camera again? I forgot. It's right
There
over
it
here.
is. Thank you again for joining us, everybody. We are extremely happy to have you here. Before we go any further today, Colin, what did you have for breakfast, sir?
I decided to not do breakfast. I did brunch.
Okay.
Because, you know, we start the show about midday. So
Yes.
I had 2 bagels
There you go.
toasted with some Kerrygold, obviously.
Of course.
3 eggs, and I oven I baked up some bacon this morning, so I had a few pieces of bacon too.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been getting away from the frying for some reason.
It's
I don't know what
borderline
the deal
superior,
is.
arguably
Right?
better than frying it in a pan.
Yeah, you just got to do it the right way.
Yes.
Right heat, right amount of time, it's money.
Got to keep an eye on it because it can go over
Real quick.
real quick.
Oh yeah, bro.
And then it's
real
bitter
quick.
and no good. you
No.
know?
Yeah, nothing's worse than like that crunchy, flavorless, sharp, gum-cutting bacon.
Yes.
You know, and that's a difference of like 2 minutes in the oven.
Yes.
You know, if you're gonna bake bacon, what temperature are you throwing it in as?
I think we do. We do 400. Jordan bakes most of the
400?
bacon during the week. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think it's at 400.
Yep,
So,
400. That's what I do too.
Yeah.
400. Dependent, like back in the old days when I was cooking in a commercial kitchens, it'd be like 425 in one of those giant. It was a
Bigger
giant closet,
ovens.
right?
Yes.
That had these push racks in there, and we're talking like 15 trays
so
of bacon.
crazy.
And you slid it in. It had this little doohickey on top, these like rails that you'd kind of line it up in. And then as soon as you shut the glass door for the oven, which you could probably put like 6 people in, it was massive. It would slightly raise up like this. It would just come up and lift the whole thing, and then it would sit there and spin 360. 10 minutes to cook that entire thing of bacon.
Really.
Wild shit, bro.
And it was
Commercial
always
kitchens are legit.
and it was always gone at the end of breakfast.
Oh, hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
I wonder if somebody's trying to get in the door. It's probably the cat.
Probably standing out there for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Come on! Yeah, I definitely made you wait outside today.
That's okay.
It's so weird because usually I'll be sitting here and I'll hear somebody pull in the driveway.
Yeah.
Because I got 5 feet to the driveway. If not, as soon as you like open the glass door to the house, Chloe usually just starts going off.
Yes.
Nico, both the dogs. So I don't usually even worry about it.
Yes. That's I'm telling you, that was my biggest question. That's my biggest reason why I didn't just come in, is because the dogs weren't making any
Right.
noise. And I was like, that's really weird. Like, that's very, very weird. One, I know that like a week ago you guys had issues with Nico, so I wasn't sure if maybe something was happening. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
everyone was gathered, and so that's why they weren't making noise. And I was like, well, I definitely don't want to interrupt and be like, it's time to fucking do a podcast. Yeah, so I just decided
buddy,
that it
you
was
tell
best if I just waited a few minutes. And, like, I'll just play it out from here, and if I feel like it's time
Oh,
to go in,
man.
then I'll just go in.
That's so funny. It's a good thing you weren't fully strapped, coming in like full kit or something like that.
Yes.
Just standing on the porch like, this is going to get awkward real soon.
I almost wore my carrier here today. Almost. Because for weeks, I've been like, oh, I should really wear it just on the drive out there, just to drive in it, for an extended period of time. And I'm always like, oh, I'm going to stop at the gas station. Like, I don't want to have to take it off or, like, throw on a big jacket or something.
Oh, yeah.
So I almost wore it today. That close. So, yeah,
So
I'm glad that I
close.
didn't. So, yeah, this is what I want to talk to you about. This week
'Kay.
that I decided was a big personal revelation that I had, right?
Ooh, exciting.
And it's come in line with this Michael Malice thing and trying to read these other books, with about the founding fathers and stuff like that. Just trying to get a good handle on where I'm at, right?
Yeah.
And so I decided this week that I was going to consciously, and there's definitely some type of infrastructure I can put on my phone to help me do this, but I'm just doing it myself. Spending consciously less time on personal social media, because I have just, I guess, like, had a click that I'm just taking in so much different influence from different places that it's very difficult for me to try and figure out who I am, who I want to be, and exactly how I feel when I feel like I have so many different places telling me how I should be.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big influencer of that is harder to throttle than reading a book. If you feel like you're getting an unhealthy influence from a book, it's very easy to put it down and walk away from it, where like social media sucks you in much harder, and maybe you'll just keep scrolling instead of getting off of it, and then that's not obviously getting you away from what your problem is. So
Interesting. Yeah, it's like a fine line you can walk with books versus social media, right? Because
Yes.
social media is great for kind of getting quick hits of other things, or something that immediately you read, less than 250 characters or whatever it is on Twitter, or even small posts on Instagram, that instantly challenge your ideas, that just make you think about it, but then you're onto something else. It's like it's like crack, it's like, oh, tree, squirrel, versus a book. You have a kind of a compartmentalized, closed off space to get the full breadth of context of what they're talking about, and there's no outside input. And that's why I just ordered up the Anarchist Handbook last night, because that's my next read coming in. I need that. And for those of you who don't know, it's a series of essays and writings by some of the world's most influential anarchists. And so it's a collection of literature, and he kind of put it all together. And
Michael Malice did.
Yeah, Michael Malice did. Sorry. But yeah, so I ordered that up, and then apparently he's got a new book coming out too.
Yeah,
I also need to get into his. I think it's his last book, The New Right, which is also available on hardback. It's $25 something for the hardback.
There you go.
I'm definitely gonna be picking that up too.
So I decided the time that I do spend on social media is gonna be rededicated to Salt of the Streets, right? And Instagram is like my biggest problem, right? Because a
lot of people's deal is Instagram.
Because I don't gain value from it as far as like things from the show. When I'm on Twitter, it's very little. I have hardly any interaction with like people that I know. So it's mostly news. It's things for the show, you know. And I'm tweeting
aggregator.
Exactly, right. I'm gaining information from that. And Instagram is way more personal. It's way more about the shit that I like personally, the hobbies and stuff that I like, which is fine. It's very informative, but can also just be very divisive, especially when you're different 2A communities and things like that. You just can be very divisive with the different mentality and things like that. And that one is more personal, so I see more individuals, people that I know, and so that's also it can be a difficult line to walk to see so many people you know not lining up with these things that you're finding personal interest in, and it's a internal battle, you know, and so
definitely more so on the Instagram.
Does that make sense?
It definitely does, because even though, you know, we pride ourselves on every couple of weeks getting on the internet and talking for 5 hours, 6 hours, depending on how long we're doing, you know, about all the things we're not afraid to say in public or talk to our friends about. But it's a much different environment when you're doing it in a social media context with the, you know, people that you actually know on the internet versus, you know, randos on the internet. It's a very different thing because it's not the best way to communicate on social media, but it works if you do it the right way. And it really, you're crossing both of those, you know, the Venn diagram there between the people you know and then the social media context of it all. And it can get real hairy.
Yes.
It can get real hairy real quick. And I think we've both experienced that over the last 3 years. And it's definitely a weird line to walk, because it's a great place to interact with people, but not all kinds of interactions are good to have there.
Yeah, so I've been spending more time. The time that I am on Instagram has been on the Salt of the Streets Instagram, because that one is more geared, obviously, towards Salt of the Streets, more news and things like that. And so I've been spending more time posting things in the story about that people will see, try and gain more traction. It's also a good, different exercises, you know, just different ways to try and post things, because on Salt of the Streets, even though it's me that's running the account, I can't post as myself. I'm posting for both of us, you know, so it can't be my opinion on something. It's the Salt of the Streets opinion on something. So while it
gets weird.
Well, it's often aligned, obviously, because I'm half of the show. That's also more objective, generally, than things I'm going to post on my own Instagram, you know? And so that's always good.
Speaking of like our personal socials and stuff like that, I want to preview the cool little thing that we've got going on. So,
you've been putting in work this week.
I have been.
The clippies, the edits, if you guys haven't been watching the shorts, because, I mean, I don't know who hasn't been, but if you haven't been, I know you have friends who haven't been, so show them, because...
Yes, be watching them Salty Shorts, people.
Yes, you can find them on the YouTube, on the Instagram, Salt of the Streets. I don't know, you're shooting that up right now as it is there. So... There you go. So Salt of the Streets, obviously, YouTube, you're watching us right now. Instagram, Salt of the Streets. Facebook, fuck Facebook at Salt of the Streets.
Oh, and the mics came back on. Yes!
There we go. saltofthestreets.com for all that information, all this information right here. We have our own personal social media. I'm at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Call me the Big Bird Off on both of those things. Patreon.com, Salt of the Streets. Discord, Salt of the Streets.
It's all there.
Swab Blended, if you need a haircut in a local area, Location Skate Shop. They just had an article written about them in the Kids App Sun.
Of course.
For being just a good community location. Leggings and Aprons on Instagram if you need some cakes. Jordan just did a ghost cake last minute today. Lexi Kayo on Twitch if you need that. The next time that we will be here, because I have to talk about this. The next 2 times that we're going to be here is going to be during Movember. Last year was a little bit different. Obviously, I didn't ask for donations last year because it was COVID. People were unemployed and shit. At this point, if you're unemployed, you're choosing to be unemployed, in my personal opinion. There's
more open jobs today than ever in American history.
Yeah, so, and that's, I'm not trying to, you don't fucking want to, but people are largely not being kicked out of their jobs today unless it's by some vaccine mandate, things like that. In which
we'll
case,
save all that for the main show, by the way.
Doesn't matter. I digress. So the point is, Movember is back in full fucking force this year. As you can see, my face is clean shaven today.
Baby face.
Next time I'm here will be November 6th. We will be joined by the Creatrix, correct?
Indeed.
Okay, I was like, oh, should I be saying this?
Creatrix?
Yes, the Creatrix, who is a Twitch streamer that Carolina met, correct? And then you met through Carolina. So she will be here to talk about general politics and obviously whatever's going on, very topical. And then later in the month, it looks like we're going to have Elijah, Pacific Northwest Nils, PAW Nils, and John Sadek, Dr. Sly.
Dr. Sly.
Back in the house, so
that's going to,
November is going to be the month of guests. It's going to be a beautiful time.
It's going to be hot.
It's going to be big, beautiful shows. So November we'll be back. I'll be donating at least $25 per week. And I'm going to try for $50. I'm doing a little bit better this year than I was last year. So I'm going to try for that.
I like my facial hair too much, so I'll be donating to you.
That is no problem. It will be a solo stash all November long. So it's going to be a good time. If you have anything at all that you can help out with, obviously Movember Foundation is for men's health, testicular cancer, prostate cancer, things like that.
That'll be a thing. I'm going to make a little splash screen for your Movember profile and all that.
Exactly. I'll put some more pictures on there. You can go back on the Movember.com, Donovan Phillips. You can look for me there, and you can see the progression of the mustache over the years. You know, at the beginning, it was a little questionable. It was pretty weak. It's pretty fucking strong now.
1970s pencil style.
Yeah, it's undeniable now. It exists.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody go from pencil mustache within 3 years being able to push out a full Tom Selleck in a matter of weeks.
The full Tom Selleck.
It's pretty strong, bro.
And that's, as far as mustache idols, Tom Selleck is mine. Like
Tom Selleck. Do you know about Sam Elliott?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Sam Elliott's, he's got but he gets a little his gets a little bushy sometimes, a little squirrely. Tom Selleck is always straight up, hard bristle, fucking push broom style.
Yes.
It's good stuff. There's what movie is it? Tom Selleck, cowboy movie. Oh, this is going to kill me. Oh, but it's like, there's a series in which he, like, you know, he's doing the cowboy thing, and he goes out and runs some cattle for a few months, and then comes back to this little town, and he starts off, you know, with the nice clean mustache, goes out there, gets all burly and shit, comes back with the whole thing, and then comes back, and he's up there just, there's like a whole scene of him just cleaning up his mustache, getting it straight up Tom Selleck style, bro. I got to find that movie now. It's pissing me off.
Yeah, let me know. You know I'm always down for a good Western, you know?
Yeah, gotta do the IMDb. Every day of my life, for the last, I don't know how many years at this point, I am going to IMDb once a day to look up something.
You IMDb more than anybody else that I know.
That's because movies are life, bro.
Yeah.
IMDb, we're going to look this up. I got to know what this movie is. It's driving me nuts.
I was listening to NPR on the way here, and they have the show All Things Considered, you know?
Oh,
it's done out of Chicago. This one was about movies. I don't really listen to it. Cairo didn't have anything good on when I was listening, so I was like, fuck it, I'll listen to NPR. And this one was about movies, and it was something like
Monty Walsh, that's what it was.
Okay.
Monty Walsh.
Okay.
2003.
Movies that people had watched that they had watched over and over and over again, and so they were interpreting it differently than somebody else. And the first story that they told was a girl who had watched The Sound of Music like 1,000,000 times, but she had only seen the first half of The Sound of Music.
What?
And she didn't know when she was a kid. It was she had a VHS. Her family had VHS, and it was a 2-part VHS.
Oh yeah.
They only had the one, and so she didn't know until she was like an adult that there was a second half of the movie, and so she didn't. And she was like,
she thought
in college.
Interlude meant end in French.
She was in college, and she mentioned it to somebody, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I love that in the movie too, but like, you know, the Nazis freaked me out." And she was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, didn't even know that it was about Nazis. Yeah. Thinks that the Nazi courier is a mailman, and like it's a whole deal. Yeah, it's a whole fucking deal. So she's telling this story. I'm fucking laughing in the car.
Happen?
Absolutely hilarious. Yeah. So it was very interesting. And then the weirdest part about that whole story is at the end, and it might be tongue-in-cheek. I don't know. It sounded very serious on the radio, so it can be difficult to tell. But she's like, in the end, I think that I decided, like, you don't need the second half of the movie. You know, the second half kind of ruins the first half of, like, the beautiful music and the story. And, you know, it makes what's his name, Rolf, the courier who, you know, was the best character in the beginning into a bad guy, and the dad who was a terrible character into the hero. And, like, you're trying to rewrite a piece that, movie that people, and not that I'm a huge fan, you know, of The Sound of Music, but people widely regard it as an incredible movie. You're now like, just you don't need the second half, that the second 70 minutes of the movie.
I'm getting angry already, Donovan.
Yes.
We're only this far into the podcast. I'm really fucking angry because that is bullshit.
Yes.
That screenplay, that musical, that movie is meant to be, as movies are, consumed as a whole.
Yeah.
If you're getting one half of the story in the beginning, and it's supposed to be all uplifting and nice and, you know, fun, because the dark portion is coming. There's no fucking safe space for you to hide from the dark end of the movie to show you the reality,
of
the
Nazism.
totality of this, how this whole thing works.
Yes.
But hey, whatever, you know. I've done that with, like, TV shows before. So, like, I used to really like Smallville back in the day, right? And I got to the point where, like,
with the girl was in the cult.
Yes, actually, yeah. She was my favorite in that show. But there was, like, a period of time where, like, young Clark Kent had, like, finally gotten together with the girl who wasn't Lois Lane. I can't remember the character's name or whatever. But, you know, and, like, everybody was basically at this point where everyone was happily ever after. And I was like, cool, I'm done. And then I walked away.
I don't need it.
Then there was, like, another 5 or 6 seasons after that. But it's different
awesome.
when you're talking, like, a TV show. You know, it's like you can... Whatever, you could tune out of a TV show at some point, but not a fucking movie.
It was
don't
funny
do this
it's
to
like,
me.
Nazism is like really beautiful when you don't follow it to its natural conclusion. You know, when you don't
like
let
communism.
when you don't let it conclude, it's like a really beautiful thing. You know, and people coming together and shit. It was really funny.
Oh my god,
it's really funny.
What other movies came up there?
The second one, I was in the gas station, so I didn't hear the name of the film, but it was in the 60s, and it was about a disease that they were comparing to COVID, obviously, that started with a toucan, and the disease
I don't know this movie.
Made people get along. And it was very divisive. The people in Washington didn't want it to spread there because then there would be peace among, you know, the parties, and it would be very difficult. Yeah. So
Peace Among Worlds.
when they, I think they tried to. It was unclear on the entire story of the movie, but somebody was trying to inoculate everybody and trying to give everybody the disease, and then somebody was trying to knock everybody the disease, and it was very.
It's like
weird.
a brain slug disease, right?
Yeah.
So let me just ask you the question real quick.
Okay.
First 2 movies that come to mind that you could watch over and over and over and over and over again.
The first one probably would be Chasing Amy, because I thought about this on the way here. If somebody asked me what's a movie you've watched over and over again that people don't really like, it would be Chasing Amy.
Great movie.
Especially critically, it's shit. Like, that's most of the critics say that it's absolute garbage. I think
most
that
of the critics love the smell of their own farts.
I think it's a fantastic movie.
Great film. One of Kevin Smith's finest.
Yeah. Chasing Amy, Jarhead. Jarhead is is a great.
Really?
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal.
I never really got into. Well, you have a serious problem with Jake Gyllenhaal, though.
Well, in that book too,
You're
when
biased
I was
as
in
fuck.
when I was in high school, I probably read Jarhead over a dozen times.
I never read the book. That's right.
I was an enormous fan of the book. That was like
makes it easier.
Still have the same copy that from when I was in high school. The spine is all fucked up. It's
Yeah.
a small paperback copy of it that I got at a used bookstore. It's all bended and bent and fucked up. Yeah,
That'll end up in the studio someday.
Yes. Yeah, it's just sitting up on our shelf in the living room.
That's perfect.
It's
a good
savage
used
copy.
book like that is. Oh.
Yes.
Well, that's legit though. I can get down with that, especially because there's a book tied to it. So like, really deeply involved in the story. You know, it's not so much just about the movie because I was not really a fan of the movie. Like, it was good, I guess. You know. But
yeah, and I think it's easier to enjoy if you do know the full story. And as far as movies go, it's a pretty good representation of the book.
Yeah.
You know, I think especially when you're doing like people's stories that they've written, it's hard to fuck it up because that dude's alive. He's on set, so you can't
fuck it up too much.
his life because he's sitting there. You know, so it's really about the things they do include and don't include. And I think they got kind of the meat of the book.
That's good
in the movie. So
it's a nice change.
yes. Yeah. So that's probably. What about you? Two movies over and over and over again.
Two movie Casablanca.
I've never
fully.
seen that movie before.
Oh my god.
Never seen it.
I
It's been
I
a
have
lot of
like
people have been talking
3
about
copies
it lately.
of it.
A lot of people have been talking about it lately.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
the
don't-
deal is with that.
I remember
but
Shapiro made. Yeah, he was talking about it at one point relatively recently, and I don't even remember why it got there. Might have been something to do with all the movie stuff these days. I don't know, but I have seen that movie an unhealthy amount. The coasters that we have that I think are up over there now, the Casablanca coasters, I got in like this sweet ass box set that Carolina got me one day with the Blu-ray, and it's got a cool book with it. Came with the coasters, so that's definitely one of those movies. And I'm trying to think more contemporarily. Ooh, toughy. Probably the Hobbit movies.
really,
Dude,
I've never seen.
I've been
the
going
Hobbits
through the
either.
audiobook too, and they're very different, obviously, from the book. But the book. So my fascination and obsession with the Hobbit goes back to, I think, elementary school. We had a
Goes back to World
substitute
War I.
teacher. Yeah. Hey, bud. I know you don't like World War I stuff either. It's okay. It's all right. It was bad and bloody days. But no, I think it was during elementary school. We had this substitute teacher that started to come in, and I don't know if it was like this down in CK and stuff, but I had that same substitute teacher throughout my entire public school life
Oh, really?
for all sorts of random shit. He was
Yeah.
great. But at one point he had, when we were younger, had read this like picture book version of The Hobbit to everybody throughout the course of like, a week or a couple weeks or something like that. And I just fell in love with the story then, had no idea that there was like a cartoon movie and this whole 9 yards, and then recently got back into the book again after watching the movies. And there's so much extra in the movies, and there's some things they leave out compared to the book, but I think they strike a really good balance.
Yeah.
And I put that shit on all the time, especially the first one. The first of the 3 movies is really good. I like the whole getting ready for the adventure and all that
Yes.
stuff, and
Yeah.
the story, being rooted in this kind of like sedentary, quiet life individual who's kind of secure and safe in his little town, in his little pocket of the world, gets plucked out of there without really his own desire, kind of against his will in a couple ways, and then just tossed out on this epic journey of life. And that's one of the main reasons I love that shit. The storyline there, everything J.R.R. Tolkien does is deeply rooted in like Western values and life and adventure, and it's good shit. So yeah, those two, I'm gonna go with The Hobbit and Casablanca. Boondock Saints is probably a real close third.
I've never seen any of the Hobbit movies, and I've never seen Casablanca. Jordan's mom is obsessed with the Hobbit movies.
They're great.
So there's
She's
a
got good
couple of
taste.
movies that she will watch over and over again. The Hobbit is one of them. Another one is Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr.
The
She
movie?
She loves that one. So
TV show is fucking money.
I almost didn't watch it out of spite because she just stayed putting The Hobbit on all the time, and I was like, I'm not watching this fucking movie. So I've seen the scene where they're throwing around all the plates and shit about 90 million times, and I'm like, I'm not watching this movie. So I probably would now, but I just don't have a reason to. And it's so
Bend the
difficult
knives
to watch,
blunt the knives.
3-hour movies.
Oh yeah. Dude, that's like
with the kid.
That's a good weekend for me, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, and not that I wouldn't do it. It's difficult to get done.
Yes, I
is
can only imagine.
is more my point. But I wanted to, because you're talking about books translating to movies. Have you ever read Jurassic Park?
I've done the audiobook before.
The audiobook.
Yeah. And then
I
I
didn't
haven't done The
know-
Lost World yet. But
I didn't know it was a book until this week, which
Michael Crichton, dude.
is stupid because
Oh, God.
everything is a book,
Yeah.
So I should stop.
Hollywood's
being,
not original.
I should stop being surprised when I'm like, oh, that was a book first. I gotta stop because of course it's a fucking book first.
It's a great book.
I think I want to read it. I think I'm very into the movies are good,
I might have it somewhere
If
around
you have
here.
it, I'm interested.
Yeah, I'll take a look real quick before
Yeah.
we leave. It might be in my bedroom.
I got a
too,
piece of this book that I'm going to read too. It can either
Ooh,
on the
fuck
pre-show
yeah.
or the regular show.
but what's that, the 17 or
This is John Adams.
John Adams.
Yeah, I finished 1776 when I had COVID.
Yep.
So this is John Adams, and it's a piece from the first
This is
public
David
letter that
Mc-
David McCullough.
McCullough.
Yep. Yeah.
Almost called
So-
McLaughlin for some reason.
the piece is from the first like public political letter that John Adams wrote.
Oh,
It's
nice.
very good. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I wanted to ask you about something a little bit more serious. If you
Absolutely.
have seen around town, especially around North Kitsap for some reason, probably because y'all motherfuckers are so passive aggressive,
Hard, yeah.
signs that look like they're swastikas, but they're backwards, and they say losing patience.
I have not seen
So,
those.
okay, so the first time that I saw it, Makai posted on a story, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I saw one. You can look up a picture of it.
Yeah.
If you just look up losing patience signs, Washington State, you'll be able, or some articles will come up. And so I thought it was really weird. I was like, what the fuck is that about? And he said that he saw it when he was driving the bus. So they're around like school areas. And then I saw one, by my house, by the school by my house. And I was like, that's fucking weird. And then I saw one time when I was leaving here. And I was like, that is fucking weird. And so it was only after I looked it up that I realized that they're swastikas made of needles,
Oh.
right? They're made of vaccine needles. So it's obviously in reference to the vaccine mandates, the different COVID
Google must have this locked
mandates
down, bro.
that are. Is it? They're not having it.
I'm going to DuckDuckGo it. And see what
Yeah,
I,
I
find.
think because I think I might have DuckDuckGo'd it.
Yeah,
but-
if there's anything that resembles a swastika, you're probably not going to find it on Google.
So, yeah. So at first I was very turned off by it. Not that I was turned on by it when I found out about COVID, but
Hey.
but I was much more bothered by it individually. Like it really kind of disturbed me. And then when I saw that it was made of needles, for some reason, I was more comforted by it, or less disturbed by it. I guess probably a better way to put it, because
Makes more sense that
because
way.
it's so obviously about the COVID mandates and not about race or like anything like that, right? Not that it's any less. It's still threatening, scary. But
You're obviously saying something when you're making anything into something that resembles a swastika.
yes, it's also backwards. The swastika is backwards, which is
Yeah, I can't find anything right now, but
which is really weird.
I'm sure if I did a little diving, I'd find some.
Yeah, but it's an obvious choice to make it backwards, to make it a swastika,
Yeah.
to make it out of the needles. These
You're
are
doing
all
that on
obvious
purpose.
choices because it's a black background sign with red letters on it. It's very, very obvious. Everything backwards, It's very interesting. So I found 2 or 3 different articles about it. One article about this is very threatening. Are they talking about they're losing patience with people who are complying with the mandates? Are they coming after us? Do I need to be fucking whatever? And then the other side that's like, this is obviously about the mandates. Like, this has nothing to do with people who are complying with them. It's obviously about the mandates themselves, and this is about free speech and like things like that. People have been taking down the signs, doing whatever. It's neither here nor there. So I was interested whether or not you had heard about this. Obviously,
No.
you haven't.
No. I do a lot of driving around too, but I guess
Yeah.
not in those areas.
Yes. Yeah. It's become a very big thing, especially obviously parents groups and stuff like that. But
Even just last weekend, man, when I was up hunting over near Cle Elum area, man, I'm telling you, drive over the mountains, get on the other side of the Cascades, you in Freedomistan, basically. I mean, it is
Yes.
a different world over there, and people don't give 2 fucks for the most part. Little touristy areas, yeah, but man, Eastern Washington, if it wasn't for all the state implications that you have to deal with,
yeah.
they know what they're doing out there, man. They're not worried about it. It was really interesting to be over there and just nobody care what was going on. Everybody just lets you do your own thing. People are in masks. Some people aren't in masks. It's a weird deal. But that's something I did want to mention, actually. I did a quick little post of it on our Instagram. A couple of the pictures I took. I posted the video that I took up on my lovely little perch on top of a mountain up there. It was fucking gorgeous, man.
Yes.
It was so nice. But for those of you who are not members of our Patreon, you should, if you want to see more about that trip, I'm cutting together a nice little video, a little montage, some more pictures and stuff like that, which is going to be a Patreon-only exclusive. It's going to be open to any and all patron levels, but if you're a subscriber there, you're going to get access to that. And we'll think about making it, freemium material later on. But obviously our patrons get all first access
There we go.
rights. But yeah, it was good shit. Losing. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Here, see if the the camera will pick that up. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, you could see the little the needles there.
Yes.
Losing patience.
And because I was in the truck, I couldn't, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I saw this picture. Again, I'm not condoning this. We're not saying this is a good thing. I'm not, nothing like that, right? Like I said, I felt much less of an overt threat to it when I realized that when I saw that there are needles, right?
yeah.
That it's obviously pertaining to one specific thing and not an overarching general idea of leftism in the state that like we're just tired of the bullshit. You know, that to me is more of a general threat than we're fucking tired of the mandates. We're tired of this bullshit. Like it just seems like it makes more sense, you know? And so,
and for one, like I don't like. It's so easy to go back to Nazi symbolism in Nazi Germany.
yes.
To to talk about fascism and totalitarianism and authoritarianism, but is it worth it? I mean, it seems cheap. I understand it's the easiest way to get your point across, but there's so many other factors that go to that Nazi-esque, era. You're doing yourself a disservice. It seems lazy. I think lazy works good. I mean, it's lazy. Find a better way to.
I love you.
You're right. Luckily, I went back during the clips and stuff. There was a couple times I saw her where she gets all close. Mics don't barely pick it up. It's good. It's just a problem because it's so fucking loud. The tail of doom, as we call it. But yeah, no, I'm tired of seeing all the Nazi imagery.
Try harder.
Try harder. Don't be lazy. Come up with your own original ideas. Fascism and authoritarianism goes way the fuck back.
Yeah.
Do something else because it doesn't come with the bullshit that Nazism comes with.
When I think this is a big generalization, right? I think most people, not regardless, but to varying degrees, could agree that the COVID policies have gone a little bit far, whether it's one way or another.
Yeah.
That's
I think
what I'm
most
saying.
people could
most
say
people,
that.
whether it's
Yep.
you think that it's complete totalitarianism, or you think like, okay, we shouldn't be telling people what they have to do or requesting papers or whatever simple thing you object to, right? I think that most people can agree it's gone a little bit too far.
A little bit.
Yep.
Yep.
And so I think
I've had personal
doesn't-
conversations with people that
Yes.
we find something in common. We find some common ground where you go, this is a little too much.
Yeah.
Even for you crazy lefty.
And so I think, like you said, it does you a disservice, especially in this area, to be going so far with it, to be invoking the swastikas and the Nazism about
Yeah.
it.
You know what
You're
it
not
is?
going to convince people that you're on the right side when
Yeah.
you are doing what you've complained about, Antifa and all these motherfuckers doing for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't help your case to try and turn it to Nazism. Whether or not I agree with you
Yeah.
is neither here nor there.
You're
Because
being stupid.
one of the last groups of people is to say, let me see your papers, was the Nazis,
Yep.
right? So, like I said, whether or not I agree with you, it doesn't really help you, especially in this area with how far left the general population is
Yep.
to be invoking that symbolism.
And I'm about as free speech absolutist as you can get necessarily.
Yes.
But my problem here is with tact. Is you're going to lose more people than you're going to gain
Yeah.
by doing something like that.
And I was more willing to, I pointed the needle thing, because once I saw that I was, not that I'm going to start taking the signs down to begin with, but I was more willing to chalk it up as just a free speech thing when I saw when I saw their needles,
Yeah.
If I feel like there's a growing white supremacist presence in my area, I'm going to have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But if I feel like these people who are probably very similar to I am have a huge problem with the way that these mandates and the different policies are being rolled out, I can agree with you. Again, I don't think you're going about it the right way,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to go and tear your fucking signs down because that seems like a bad call.
Yeah.
If you're putting up legitimate actual swastikas, and like I said, you're spreading white supremacist propaganda, I'm probably going to tear your shit down because I don't need that around my family, around my children, in my fucking community. I don't need people doing that shit. But that's also, I've not come to that problem yet, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are like, I thought you were fucking free speech, tearing down people's signs and shit. I am.
It's
you know,
different
but-
when there's actual white supremacists or neo-Nazis on the other end. Actual.
Well, and also where I saw the sign was literally there's the school on Central Valley at the end of the road where it connects with Highway 308 or whatever. Whatever, it's like it's a really random school name, Sydney fucking whatever or some random shit. It was on that corner.
Yeah.
It's you could stand on that corner and hit the school with a rock. I definitely am not going to leave white supremacist propaganda on a telephone pole 30 yards from a fucking elementary school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And yeah, the location too now makes a little bit more sense to me.
Plays
too,
a big
yeah.
factor.
It
You know?
does.
If
But
it's
for
in the
fuck's
middle of
sakes,
the
people.
highway, I'm much less likely to pull over and tear down this sign that's
Yeah.
on the side of the road. But
Yep.
if it's fucking down the street from a school, I'm probably not going to leave it there. You know,
Exactly.
a 9-year-old doesn't need to be seeing this in a way
No.
that can't be contextualized for them because they're fucking walking home from school with their friends.
Yeah.
It's inappropriate.
You go,
you
oh
know?
wow, there's Nazis around here. It's the only thing I know of. You're being real counterproductive, man.
Yeah.
That's fucking stupid. God, I hate people so much.
Very interesting, right? So
Yeah.
the sign was gone, I think, the next day. The one that I saw, I didn't see. The other one, I don't remember where it was when I saw it leaving your house. But that one is gone now, too. Excuse me.
Oh, there was one somewhere.
Somewhere
on
along the
run
road
here.
leaving your house to go back to my house. I don't remember where. It was the last time I was here that I saw it.
We get some interesting signage up here. I'm not gonna lie. And
Yes.
it's never up for very long.
It's because it's in the woods. You know, it's so
you
dark.
catch
and
it for
shit
a
out
couple
here.
days, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's gone now. But yeah, I've seen some real interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that there's that one guy
With the sheep?
with the sheep.
Yes.
You know, stay in the fence, comrade.
Yeah.
He used to have one on the back end of it that was like the emoji pile of poo.
Yeah.
And it was something to do with Biden. I don't quite remember, but it was definitely not as catchy as fucking "Let's Go Brandon," which is my new favorite thing.
That's really funny.
Let's go Brandon.
People are really into that. Joe told me that she had bought Let's Go Brandon shirts for her and Colin also.
Hell yeah.
So,
Hell yeah.
I thought that was pretty fun.
I saw on must have been Twitter last night. I think I bookmarked it, so we might show it at some point. But there was some rep on the House floor that was up there talking about the reconciliation, you know, build back better bullshit and all this stuff. And he ended his thing with "Let's go Brandon" and like gave a little fist pump and walked away. I was like, bro, it's on the House floor. I'm in it.
That's really fun.
I love this "Let's Go Brandon" stuff, especially because the way it came out, right? It originated from this NASCAR event where the winner, and I don't even know his last name, but his name was Brandon something or other, and the guys up in the stands were yelling out "Fuck Joe Biden" and chanting that, and the announcer, he honestly probably didn't hear it, but the announcer thought, he was like, oh yeah, they're chanting "Let's go Brandon" up in the stands, and then you get all the videos like, dude, they ain't saying that, man.
Yes.
It's just the most perfect, organic, natural meme that has come across. I mean, anything I can remember, anyways. It's like the most naturally occurring meme that has spread. I mean, throughout the world at this point. It's pretty powerful.
I'm going to send you...
Ooh, what do we got?
I'm going to send you something on Signal. It's the last thing that I want to talk about.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the regular show. It's a meme that I saw earlier this week, and it's going to get you hot. That's why I want you to look at it. Because I was talking to
I'm going to
Jordan
be on
about it
blood
last
pressure
night.
medication by the end of this episode.
I was talking to Jordan about it last night, and it got me hot. And so it's a meme that I saw on Instagram. And it's these dinosaurs. And I'll wait for you to pull it up, and that way it'll be... the dinosaurs are talking to each other. One of them's dressed really fancy.
Oh, fancy
And-
dino.
Yeah. And I don't want to describe it because it's not.
It'll just.
It's a meme. It's a meme, so I don't want to describe it. That's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. But
Holy
we're
crap,
talking
how long
about
is this going to take to load?
yeah, we were talking about student loans, and because we were talking about high school and sending our kid to high school and public school, and I was like, I mean, honestly, I'm at the point where I wouldn't even tell him that he needs to get a high school diploma, you know. And she was like, "Oh, I don't." And I was like, I said, "For what reason do I need the state to tell me or Dax or anybody else that he or I have reached an arbitrary threshold of education that now we can get a job?" I said, "At what point did the state begin to have the right to set the arbitrary threshold of education that I have to obtain in set arenas so that I can have a job?"
Approximately
like-
1950s.
Said in what world? So for what reason? So
Yep.
I said, I refuse to give the state that right. Said they do not have the right to tell me
Nope.
when I have reached enough general knowledge to obtain a career. Fuck you.
That's not how
I'm
it
not
works.
doing that.
Look at Tim Pool.
And that's I said, and that's not me saying I would tell Dex just don't worry about school. You don't need to go, right? I said because obviously education is extremely important. So I am talking strictly about the arbitrary limit or threshold designation for education that you need to get before we will acknowledge that you are an adult.
That's the difference
That's
between education and schooling.
Yes.
Schooling is different than education. Education, you can get, I mean, it's about as decentralized and as democratized as you can get anymore. I have no idea how we get more freedom of knowledge availability anymore. I don't know how we can go any farther than that.
Yes.
But let's take a stab at getting
let's
this
look at
thing
the
up
meme.
here. We just won't be able to have the speakers on.
That's okay. Just show the meme for a minute and then we'll talk about it.
Boom. And actually, it's working. We could talk about it. I don't see any reverbs from the desktop audio. Beautiful.
Okay. So the meme, obviously, the first one, the fancy
Stop
dinosaur
complaining.
tells the regular dinosaur, "Stop complaining. I started with nothing." Regular dinosaur looks at his student loan balance and then says, "Sounds nice." So this summit, and this also stemmed because I was talking to Brian yesterday at work, and he was talking about going to college, and he was like, "Honestly, now, like, I wish I had gone to a trade school, and blah blah blah." And I said, and this is no. But he was playing baseball, and that's why he went to college. And I said, and that's fine. I said, I think it makes sense, Said, and this is definitely not a hit on you. I said, but my biggest argument for me not going to college, I said, you went to college, he went to college, he went to college, he went to college, he went to college. So we all work at the same place.
Yep.
Said, so for what reason should I have gone to college?
Yeah.
So we
You're
literally
in a much better position financially
so
than
we
they
all
are.
literally work in the same place now. So so why would I have gone to college? And so then we're talking about the amount of student loan debt that they have, right?
Yep.
And so then this meme comes up, and I was like, this is nonsense. That this operates under the assumption that they tried to instill in us in school that you have to go to college or else you can't be successful.
Yeah.
This other person who decided to start a job or start a business or do whatever they were doing, that they have a monocle and a top hat, obviously chose not to go to school and didn't fucking need to be successful. If you want to be a doctor, you're going to need to go to school. There's some things that you need to do, right? But I do not understand, especially being a part of the generation that is making this very argument right now, when it became anybody else's problem that you chose to go to school.
Yeah.
I chose not to go to school for that exact reason. I didn't want the debt. It's not my fault. You went. This is not my problem. I'm sorry. I do feel bad for you that you're experiencing this, but it's not my fucking problem. I didn't do that to you. I didn't make this choice for you. Are you going to pay off my credit card debt? Did you make terrible spending choices for me? No. I made those terrible fucking choices. Now I have a child and I'm having to work my ass off to pay my debt off so I can buy a house.
Yep.
Where the fuck are we at now? You're telling me I can't buy a house because I have too much student loan debt. I can't buy a house because I have credit card debt. We made the same piss poor fucking choices. I don't know what to tell you.
I have a feeling your credit card debt is much less than
Not
average
really,
student loan debt.
Not the point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's because it's, and the only argument I ever hear about, like, the need to pay back student loans is that societal pressures and essentially people were not able to make a fully their right to informed consent wasn't fully informed.
Borderline
so they were
coercion.
like, yeah, and I go, okay, well, welcome to America. That's
didn't
the way
go.
it works all the time. It's
yeah.
It's not my fault that you were a dumb 18-year-old who did not think about the implications of what it really means to go to school. Mind you, I don't know, blame-wise, it's kind of hard because you are an idiot 18-year-old, 16-year-old that's
Right.
going to college and all this stuff. But man, if your parents aren't able to recognize what that means for you, if your teachers aren't being able to instill into you what it means to be starting at a loss as an adult versus like you and I started at zero. We started at zero because we didn't go out and start our adult lives with $50,000 to $100,000 in debt. Like a lot of people in our generation. I would
Yes.
probably argue the majority of people in our generation started at a negative or a net negative financial situation. I didn't. You didn't. Like we have our own personal things, but like as far as the start off point to your adult life, we don't have student debt we had to pay. We decided we're going to get out there, we're going to figure out what the fuck's going on, and then if I want to go to college, I'll figure out how to go to college then. It wasn't something that I expected to do. You know, I obviously had a different path because I was looking at going to the military since I was like 13, and so I just kind of went with that path, but I had thought about it since I was fucking 13. and decided at one point, I think I was watching a lot of like Mike Rowe or something at the time. I was like, this probably ain't for me. I'm gonna go to the military for at least 4 years, figure it out, and if I want to go to college, then I got my GI Bill to work with. Cool. But no, I don't feel an ounce of sympathy for any of these people. Even my own wife has student debt that she doesn't, quote unquote, utilize because it's not, she's not working in her field. And I think that's fine because there's still a lot of worth out of that, but it's a decision you made and ain't nobody going to feel bad for you. It just is what it is, and let's just do the best thing as we can go forward. I hate the fact that it is it's like a moral imperative now that you feel bad for people with student debt, and we have to wipe that clean. Otherwise, our whole generation is set back. I don't care.
Right.
We were an idiot. What this is going to teach us is our fucking kids are going to know what we went through, because we're going to remember very, very well paying that off for the first 20 years of our adult life. I'm going to make sure that my kids are very, very, very well informed about the implications of you going off to college right away without paying for it as you go.
Right.
This is what debt is. This is how this whole thing works. You're going to have to pay X amount of dollars to nobody. You're just going to throw it away, throw it into the ether for some giant federally backed bank so that you can have a piece of paper at the end of the day that by the time you need to utilize it may mean nothing.
Yeah. And maybe it's crass, or callous is probably a better.
Yeah.
But I just don't.
I don't care.
I bear very little sympathy, especially for the the borderline coercion argument, because I wasn't coerced, so
Yeah.
I don't. I'm sorry that you were. I don't know what to tell you.
How is it that I ducked this?
It doesn't make it my fault. That doesn't make it my responsibility to pay that for you, or for my tax to pay for you, even in part. That doesn't make it my responsibility because you were coerced. I was not. I don't know what to tell you. I haven't heard a single convincing argument as to why it should be written off from a federal level, people's student loan debt, because they weren't fully aware of what they were doing. Then don't fucking do it.
Yep.
Then don't sign the goddamn contract. I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
If there was something I bought a car 2 years ago, right? I bought my truck, right? The beginning of 2020, I bought my truck, right? So,
pandemic truck.
right? So you're telling me if there's something weird, I don't know, some fucking human centipede shit in my truck contract, I have to live with that. I should have read the fucking contract. I just don't. It doesn't wash for me. It is not a convincing argument, that the banks were dishonest. Like you said, this is fucking America. We learned even in the weird government approved curriculum that we were educated through, we still knew the government was shit.
Yeah.
They're lying to you all of the time.
All the time.
I don't know what to tell you. I was in the 8th grade during the financial collapse, during the financial crisis. We watched it happen. We saw it in real time. I don't know what to tell you. If you didn't learn anything from that when we were children watching it, like I did, then you fucked up. I don't feel bad for you. I don't feel bad for you. Like I said, it was 2008. I was in the 8th grade. So that means I was 14 years old. I don't feel bad for you.
Yep.
I'm sorry that you didn't pay attention then. I wasn't tapped in like this then. I knew the banks were fucking people over. I knew that we almost lost our house when I was in high school. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. I don't feel bad for you. You're not convincing me. Figure it the fuck out. You shouldn't have gone. I'm sorry that you made a bad choice. You shouldn't have gone.
Yep. And instead of concentrating on righting the wrong that was done to you, because it was wrong. Certainly was a wrong.
They fucked you over.
But you don't get to rewrite that. What you should be doing is advocating for the dissolution or the dissolving of those same exact systems that continue even to this day to put the next generation of children into lifetime debt.
Yes.
You should be fighting that, not asking for your money back.
Thank God. Yes. That's the perfect ender for it.
Boom.
That's it. I don't have anything better
Put
to
a
say.
bow on that thing.
That's, I thought, the thing that Michael Malice said about taking the university endowments and reappropriating.
Oh, man.
I almost got it. I was like, that just changed my life.
I love it.
That was really funny. So if you haven't, we've referenced it multiple times during this particular pre-show, and we'll leave you with this note. If you haven't watched it, most of you probably haven't, but I would recommend everybody go and watch it. Michael Malice did an interview with Glenn Beck on his podcast. It's just over an hour long. You can go and find it on YouTube. Absolutely amazing. It's a beautiful way to dip your toes into anarchism and an ideology of freedom that I think everybody deserves to at least understand and have exposure to. So I would recommend that everybody go and check it out. We're going to call this the end of the pre-show. So thank you, obviously, joining us. YouTube, Salt of the Streets. Instagram, Salt of the Streets. Facebook, fuck Facebook, it's Salt of the Streets. Personal social media, I'm at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Collins at Big Bird Alfie on both of those things.
Both of them.
You can find all this on saltofthestreets.com, patreon.com/Salt of the Street, Discord, Salt of the Streets. If you need a haircut, Swell Blended. Local area, if you need a skateboard, location skate shop. They were in Kitsap Sun last week.
That's so dope.
Leggings and aprons for some cakes. Lexi Kayo on Twitch. Movember will be happening next month. We will be posting about it on our social media here. I'm sure, on Discord and everything like that, we'll be talking about it. I'll try and maybe I'll do a daily Discord update on the mustache.
Oh, yeah.
That's a very easy thing for me to do. Just snap a daily picture of the mustache. So we'll do that. Just decided we're going to do it. Movember.com. Search for Donovan Phillips, Donavan, Phillips with 2 L's.
Right before we leave, what are we talking about in the main show?
Right. Didn't even mention it. Main show. It's a grab bag show. We're going to talk about... That's hilarious. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. We are going to have COVID updates, obviously, just like we do every week. Fallout from the vaccine mandates that hit the state this week in several states around the country. A case that came out of Loudoun County, Virginia, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. That's really bad, so we're going to talk about that. And also some things that came out with Steven Crowder after that. Shipping delays and concerns. The fuckery going on at the ports. Strikes across the country regarding mandates and things like that, and also many other things. Reconciliation package updates, and we're obviously going to talk about Michael Malice and Glenn Beck.
Yep.
So
I also have a little thing that might just open the show with it since it's kind of fun, and I wanted to talk about all the new rich people that are going up into fake space and all the fallout from that.
Yes.
And then talk about Noah Rothman's take on it and how I align more with his take, and I think we'll have a fun little start-off conversation with that.
I love it.
So that being said, we'll see you on the other side. We're going to try the end screen.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you